This is definitely going to get me canceled. 3 roles that fuck everything up in startups and business. Okay.
Tell us.
Right? Yeah. The first one is the CFO. The CFO is always a curmudgeon. They always get in the way of everything. They have no vision. Oh, dollars, cents, blah, 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 blah. Super annoying. Right. The second one is legal. Whoever is ahead of legal at whatever company is a fucking nightmare to deal with. They're always justifying their existence by redlining a contract. And they're like, oh, Richard, you have a comma in the wrong place. That'll be $500, please. They fuck everything up. It delays every deal you try to get done. And the last one, obviously on everybody's mind, is HR, because, nobody likes HR for any reason.
I was sure it's gonna be the CEO.
No, definitely not. Definitely
not. CEO wants to do it, but for some reason, I defer all these decisions to other people.
CEO always wants to do stuff. They always have good intentions.
Yeah.
I am consistently shocked how little power a CEO actually has, though.
That is, by the way, that's the best clip right there, Scott.
Yeah. It's interesting. Like, you think to yourself, and I'll just make fun of Eldad right now just for fun, but it's like, okay, this guy's super successful. He's scaling this business. They're doing really well. They've raised $1 billion or whatever the heck much money he's raised, right? It's like, you think this guy would now have the power to make decisions when he wants to do something. But it's like, he has to have a meeting with 10 people just to change the flavor of Diet Coke in the office. He can't do anything on his own. Oh, I really want to do this. CFO shuts him down. Oh, I really want to do this. Legal shuts it down. Always. And I'm talking about people who also have, by the way, had exits before and stuff.
Yeah.
Eldad is, I think, is on his first big VC kind of company. But imagine this guy has already had $2 billion exits. And he's like, oh, I'm getting pushback from legal, or I'm getting pushback from my CFO. I'm thinking to myself, this is why I can't run a software company. Because if I had $500 million exit, $1 billion exit, and Richard, you were my CFO and you came to me and said, you can't do this, I would literally say, go fuck yourself, dude. I'm doing whatever I want.
Let me jump in here.
Go ahead.
I heard the frustration all the way to Israel.
Yes.
Cross the ocean.
Yes. That's passion. It's passion, Eldad.
Scott, first of all, you already do that.
That's true. Yeah.
You are like, I'm not doing that, Richard. I'm just not. I'm just not. But
yeah.
That's the first thing. But that backs up your point. You're walking the walk, right? You're doing what you said, right? Second thing, I will literally had this conversation the other day. Richard, I'm the lawyer. It's my job to protect the company, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, you're the first time we've worked with this vendor, as a vendor. And so I got to protect us. And, I just, I need you to just understand that, it's nothing personal against you. This was just what this needs to stay in the contract. And I was like, you guys asked me to do the job. And I've been doing this for 12 years. And you really think I'm going to sit here and try and take advantage of you? That's really your concern for me? And then when you tell me that my own business isn't personal, really? Because it sounds to me like you're not a very good lawyer because you don't know how to negotiate.
Did you tell them that?
I did.
I believe them. I actually believe them that Richard said that.
And I said, you didn't take that personally, did you?
Yes.
So,
well done.
Anyway.
Hey, welcome to another episode.
Yeah.
Welcome to another episode of the Surf and Sales podcast. I'm Scott Leese, here with my good friend and co-host and partner, Richard Harris. And we are joined, as you can see if you're watching on YouTube, by the CEO and founder of WINN.AI, Eldad Postan-Koren, all the way from Israel. How's it going, my friend?
All good, all good. Happy to be here. What a beginning of a podcast. I'm looking forward to the rest of it. Let's see.
All right, I gotta jump in on this. I gotta jump in on this because Eldad, one of the things I love about WINN is you actually do work to leverage the influencer model, right? And I'm tired of trying to avoid that phrase because it just is what it is. Don't blame me, right? you came up with this one last week. I gotta push back on you a little bit. I did it. I participated, right? And I was compensated, and I'm happy to do it because I know you and I like Win and I know what you're doing. Vibe selling. All right. That was explain to people what vibe selling was. And then
Yeah.
I have some feedback for you on this one. So
all good. I'm all about feedback. Yeah, so basically
well, you haven't heard my feedback yet, so be careful.
Can I mute you?
Yes, of course.
Okay. Is that the podcast? You can mute the host?
Yes.
Okay, beautiful. I'm happy to hear that. So basically, vibe selling. Vibe selling is a concept that came from the fact, we have vibe coding now, and you can take it in a different ways. I think that what vibe coding means for me as well, and the people in our area, it means like vibe coding, that you write code together with the computer, together with AI, together with the computer, lovable, cruiser base 44, and you create something together. And I think that vibe selling is to look at AI and not to say, okay, that's GPT. I'm taking the transcript, I'm pushing it afterwards to GPT. I'm very active about it. We believe that AI will be augmented, or is augmented now, or beginning to be augmented, and we just live next to it. And we create together a better salesperson or a better sales call. So that's where it's coming from. I know that some people take it, vibe, which is maybe chill or lazy or whatever. But that's what's beautiful about the art. Everyone can interpret it in a different way, and it's made a noise. We got tons of good reaction. We got tons of bad reactions. But we are fine. I'm fine with it. I love it. I think that
what was the and I agree with you, right? Like, if they're talking about you, good, bad, or otherwise, they're talking about you, right? Like there's nothing wrong with that in most cases, short of you being the CEO of Astronomer, right? Like, that's probably not a good talk that you need to be a part of. What did people like about it? What didn't they like? Because I think people are very curious about this whole concept anyway, of like, how do we, do the LinkedIn takeovers, and how do we do this influencer thing? Like, it's happening, right? Like, this is now part of, Scott, tell me, influencer is now part of the go-to-network strategy.
Yeah.
Right. It totally is.
I agree with that. Yeah.
So what did people like? What didn't they like? And maybe a third question is, what should people think about if they're going to go down and try this strategy?
So I think that I think that every time you will do a bold move that will make lots of noise, you will get pushback. And it's just, it's a very basic law of nature. I think it's like the third one of Newton. Now, every power there's something like that. So that's part of nature, and it's fine. By definition, it doesn't matter what you will do. If you will do a big splash, there will be pushback. The second thing which is more relevant for this specific campaign, I think that some people didn't like the vibe thing, like the terminology, because it's once again maybe referring to laziness, and as I said. The second thing, I think that some people, which on as far as I see, take LinkedIn as a media very seriously, and this is the place to give only tips. And I met Scott. I remember you posted it. I met a CRO of $10 billion last week, and he told me XYZ. You remember this post you did as characterism about all of this, same thing, same tips. And what we did was a campaign which was very playable. It was fun, it was strange, it was cringy, on purpose, by the way, on purpose. So it's some people don't like it because this should be a serious platform. The last thing, it's not about the content, it's not about the media, something about the motion. So there's a motion that people, influencers, should say that they get paid for. They didn't get, like, if they were paid for or compensated for, or once again, you know, you spoke about people who who are pushbacks. And it's fine. People need to know the truth. We didn't, we didn't cover it that some people were compensated for that, and that was part of the strategy, and that's fine. Once again, we believe in creating noise. We are not in the legal how to you need to tell in advance. Once again, but fine. Like, some people even didn't like that we smashed keyboards 2 years ago or 3 years ago, 2 years ago, because they were concerned about environment. Each one with his own.
Keyboard's going to end up in a trash dump anyway. Like, it's like.
But
I think this is exactly the point that Eldad is making. It's like, you could do anything at this point in time, and somebody will find a way to hate on it.
Yeah.
And say this is no good. Right?
Yeah.
It's like, where does keyboards go when they break or they stop working? They end up in the trash, in the dumpster. Right? Well, am I damaging the environment because I chucked my keyboard behind me? Come on. And this is one of the things that I really like, and I gave the team this feedback a week ago or a few days ago. I said, one of the things that I like is they're brave. They're bold. They take chances. They're not worried about, blowback and negative feedback.
Isn't that every startup founder? Isn't that what every startup founders?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
No, but not that they should, but they're creating something because they want to be bold and different. They don't know how to translate that into a business model.
Right? They don't know how to translate it into marketing campaigns
and messaging
that try to combine effectiveness with fun, with results, all these kinds of things. And, whether it's the keyboard campaign or the vibe selling campaign, Win and Eldad and Oren and the team, I think, have done a great job of pushing the envelope, because I don't know what's in the water in Israel, but in the last 10 years.
Oh, I do.
In the last 10 years, if you ask me which two companies have had people talking the most, right, about content and their brand and whatnot, I would say early 2020s is Gong. And all the content they were producing. And in the last 2 years, Win.
Yeah.
I don't see anybody else talking about all these different kind of campaigns and things like that. It's those two companies. They're both from Israel. And so, I applaud you for taking chances and being afraid.
They call it the Israeli chutzpah.
Yeah. The Yiddish phrase, right? Hey, I got to pause for a quick second before you go on to that, because we kicked off this podcast a little differently than normal. So I do have to go in and mention our sponsor Vasco real quick, and then jump back in. And this is it. It's a Monday morning. You're dragging your feet to the WBR. Your sales miss their number, blames marketing for weak leads. Marketing pushes back. Customer success shrugs, and RevOps is stuck patching together 3 different conflicting dashboards, right? So you got all this data in one place, and let's call it what it is. It sucks, right? And it's not doing stuff aligned well. It's not helping you determine next steps and goals. By the way, this is where our friends Vasco, who are sponsoring us, step in and really help you. They are there to support your team, not replace your team in relation to AI. And they will help you get to that next stage faster, so that you can turn all those negative things that are happening on Monday morning back around. So thank you to Vasco for sponsoring us. Eldad, I cut you off because I needed to do that. Continue.
Wow, no, I lost traction.
I interrupted you. All right. So let's talk about, I have a question for you. You're based in Israel, right? I hope everything's going okay over there. For some reason, and tell me if I'm wrong, every company that wants to come to the States that's not based in the States struggles. The ones I know from Israel seem to do it really well, right? From this international perspective. What is it? What is in the water? Like, how is it this, and I understand the mentality of you go for broke, I understand where that comes from, from a geographical perspective and historical perspective, but what are you guys doing right that just help you break into the market? Or is it because it's a sales tool and therefore it's easier?
No, so I think that, for decades, the high-tech scene in Israel was not about sales tech at all. Until today, out of Gong and Win and maybe Lusha, there are not many Israeli startups in the world of sales tech. It was more about, security, more about cyber. That's coming from the fact that we have a very strong intelligence force, and that's a great school, and yada yada. But I actually think that one of the advantages is our disadvantage, that we speak Hebrew and we have a very small population. And I will try to explain why. Every Israeli startup from day zero understand that the market won't be Israel. And we don't have the luxury even to say, okay, we will do design partner in Israel, and then we will do, I don't know, like we will do design partners in the UK, and then we will move to the US, because this is not our home ground. Like, it's like we understand that Israel is not market, not for B2B, not for B2C, for nothing. Second is the fact that Hebrew is spoken by not a lot of people at all. So once again, not a big enough market. So from day one, we understand that, probably US will be the market on majority of the cases, just because Europe is very fragmented from a language point of view and regulation point of view, and it's much more complicated and cultural. And US is more, to some extent, more,
what are the first three things, if I'm international, not even Israeli, if I'm a German company, a French company, what are the first three things, based on what you just said, which I thought was a brilliant way to describe it, someone needs to do to step themselves up to move into the US market to just get started?
Yeah. So I think that the number one is not to compromise. And when I say that, the easiest thing is to go to your neighbor, sorry, and say, hey, are you willing to be a design partner? Now, usually he won't be a US-based company if you live outside of the US. So I think that not to compromise on validation and early traction, and to understand that if you want really to scale the business, it should be, even in the early days, in the US, in the market, at least, whatever your market, it should be in the market. Because otherwise, if you make your life easy and you validate the idea and the MVP with not the right market, usually it doesn't mean anything. And also for VCs, by the way. I think that second is, be in the market as much as you can. Going back to it once again, the overall theme is product market fit. It's very hard to find product market fit if you're not in the market. And if you're not literally in the market and you live out of the market and culturally you're out of the market, find time and find a way to be in the market as much as you can. I'm going back and forth like week, a month, which is crazy and killing me with the jet lag. And I have small kids and I have a very busy wife. She's a physician, she's a heart surgeon. And even though I understand that if I won't be there, the company won't be there. So I don't know if it's three, but it's two. And I think that once again, the idea is, yeah.
I work with a lot of international founders and companies, and one thing that I didn't hear you say that I think might be part of that is you're very direct. Israelis are very direct. They get to the point.
Yes.
They're blunt. They move fast. They know what they want. And this is very similar to much of, if not all of, America and how we communicate and how we get things done. I just 15 minutes ago got off a call with a company based in the UK, and they're struggling to adjust. And I was reviewing their pitch and their emails and how they sell. And it's very, very formal, very polite, very long-winded. right? And my experience, at least with Israelis, is they are not that way. And I wonder if that translates effectively to selling in North America.
So it's the same coin. Sometimes it's in your advantage and sometimes it's your disadvantage. I think that we are much more direct than the Americans. We don't know how to sugarcoat. We don't understand why we need to sugarcoat. Funny story. I had an AE in the previous company. He came. He was like he had lots of experience in selling to hospitals, and he came to Israel to do training and ramp up. And in Israel, he just went in the street and said hi and smiled to everyone, and nobody smiled at him. And he came to me and asked me, Eldad, why people don't smile at me? And I said, we don't smile at other people, strangers in the street. Like they will probably thought that you're a pervert or something. So, so, so the directness and like we call it tachles, it's being like very to the point. Sometimes does not translate well when we communicate with Americans. So, for example, it's very hard for us to really understand. So this is the disadvantage. Really understand if a VP sales liked it or not, because American would tend not to disappoint you directly, but they will just ghost you, and we will say the truth in the face, like, that's not for us. Yeah. That's of course after we will ask for a discount. But
maybe I must be part Israeli, Richard, and I never knew it.
Yeah, I was going to say it's Sicilian. Right?
Yeah, you're gonna make him an offer. You're gonna make him an offer. Not that far away. Let me pivot the conversation a little bit to something that's a little more serious, perhaps, or a little more challenging. When you started the business a few years ago, go to market and sales and outbound was one way. A couple years later now, and all those tactics don't work as good as they used to, and some of them are almost gone or should be gone. So the sales world a little bit, I think, is in like this whole new era, in the same era of you trying to grow this company and sell a product designed to help salespeople perform better. Mm-hmm. Can you talk a little bit about the uniqueness of that challenge and problem as you've been experiencing it, both from your feedback that customers get and you yourselves trying to grow the business? I think it's a very interesting, unique experience based on what you've been trying to do and the period of time that you decided to start it.
Yeah. So I was in the Navy for many years, and in the Navy we used to say that in order to have 2 years of experience, you need to have 2 years. So I'm only talking about from my experience. So and my experience is basically mainly founder-led sales, and not I couldn't say that like I led the organization of 10,000 reps before with tons of VP sales, and so my main sales background is basically founder-led sales, and I would say that on that matter, I don't think that things really changed. I think that founder-led sales, at least how I did it 3 years ago or 2.5 years ago, and how I do it today, it's quite similar. We can speak about that. But what I do see is that, and once again, 3 years ago, I think that social selling, by the way, was a thing back then. Maybe we were early adopters, but I think that it always was important, even a decade ago. And of course, that outreach, cold calling was always hard. It's much harder today. I think that, cool tools like Outreach and SalesLoft that started automating email, made like the reaction to email almost to zero. So it's from that matter, it's much, much, much harder. And of course, it's much harder for an early stage startup, which is nobody knows who you are. You're calling someone and like calling from where? So it's very hard. And this is actually why we early on understood that we need to be very bold and very, out there from marketing point of view, from top of the funnel and awareness point of view. And then the awareness together with less, less attention you're getting because the nature of the business and because of the nature of the technology, we believe that compensate. But, if I look from the perspective of our tool, I think that what we help people and what we transform is, taking most of the admin work from salespeople and helping CROs and VP sales to actually make sure that they follow, like the team follow what they want to follow. I think that's actually, potentially, and we see it. It's improving the performance of the team, but it also make the personal life of seller better because they don't do what they hate to do, or at least less. So it's and allow them to do more. And when you do more, you succeed more. So once again, there's no one answer here. I think it's a balance and a trade-off.
Do you spend a lot of time thinking about this and engaging in all these activities, but from a product standpoint, you spend a lot of time thinking about it. You just said, email responses are almost zero. I agree with that. You just said cold calling is harder than it's ever been. I agree with that. The things that everybody knows have been working for the last couple of years. This is content, brand building, small events, referrals, influencer partnerships, these things. Okay, we know those things are working. But now what always happens is when something's working, everybody rushes to the thing that's working. And before you know it, there's going to be 17 events every single night in your city by some company, and you can't go to them all, and we're going to ruin it, right? So in your mind, where do you think sales and prospecting is going next? Not what's working right now. If we assume that what's working right now is going to fade out a little bit in the next couple of years, do you have a sense of where things might head and how you'll steer the company from a product perspective in that direction? Like, is hologram selling the next thing, for example? Everybody laughs, but maybe it is. I don't know. I'm curious what you think.
So I will tell you something that I don't know if that's such a revolution, but I have a gut feeling about partnership. And once again, I don't know if that's the future, and definitely it's not something that we we tried a lot. We tried a little bit, but what I'm really thrilled is like, how do you take someone else, other organization with other needs and other strength, and how do you together you create better together, but and create something really crazy together. And then that opens to you, especially for a small organization, a whole new world that was blocked before. And it could be a very cool situation when one brand is more established and more boots on the ground, but no AI, and then comes an AI company, early stage, scrappy, and the combination of those two very different organizations and very different cultures, maybe it can create a new way to outreach many new customers. Once again, I don't think that's mind-blowing, but definitely I think that's something. And there's also a word, it's SEO is also something that is going to die. Would a GPT optimization or LLM optimization will be the next thing? Maybe, probably. So that's probably another area that was to invest in.
Yeah, I'm actually already doing that. I don't know, Scott, you started doing
trendsetter. You're a trendsetter.
I am, but Scott, I always come up with a great idea and you 3x me, right? That's our standard.
Richard, you just asked if I'm investing in that.
Yes.
I don't invest in.
I don't mean money. Are you investing your time into the GPT world to get your stuff in there?
No, this might blow your mind, Richard, but somehow I'm already in there. I'm already getting leads.
As am I.
Somebody is like, but I'm doing nothing. You're
Right.
doing something to get leads. I'm doing nothing. They're just magically showing up. I don't know why.
There you go.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
What was that, Eldad?
He said it's a good
I
problem.
said it's a good problem to have.
It is a good problem to have. It is a very good problem to have. So I want to talk a little bit more about how you decide to make bold moves, right? You talk about it from this perspective of, we're very direct, it's a very small niche in Israel, but there's also a personality thing. What do founders need to do to get out of their own way to make these bold moves?
Wow, it's a good question. I don't think you can teach people to be bold. It's probably one of the things that are not, coachable. But I think that going back to the beginning of our conversation, I think that every entrepreneur to some extent is brave, or very not understanding the situation he or she getting into, but usually brave to some extent, because building something from 0 to 1 demands to be brave to some extent. But I think that I don't know if I told you that before, but I used to be a politician. I ran 2 campaigns to the Hebrew University Student Union, and I know that in the US student union are not such a big deal, but I think that I don't know if half, but good amount of the parliament members in Israel came from student unions. So this is like really one of the places that like is the kindergarten of the national politics. And when I came to the Hebrew University, I went and I saw how the student union operates, and I said, oh, I can do it better. So once again, what I'm trying to say here, like it's just part of me. It's not something I can teach or give tips about. I'm just see myself as a brave or taking responsibility or trying to fix the world, whatever you want to call it. So it's just part of my personality. I don't think it's interesting to think if that's a characteristic of a typical Israeli, maybe to some extent. Once again, also go back to geography and history. But once again, I think that's kind of the thing that or you're born with or you're not born with. But I want to say something which is even more important. Everything you see is just the tip of the iceberg. And the boldness coming from me, but every campaign and every crazy idea we do and every hilarious viral video is an effort of hundreds of hours and small details, which I suck in taking care of. And Oren, who leads the marketing, and Carmel and Shahak and the rest of the team are such a detail-oriented people and introvert, by the way, all of them. And the combination works really well. So if I can give one good tip is find someone who is good in what you're not good at, and they will help you not only to be brave, but also to take your bravery out there to the world.
Yeah, that's a great tip. You always want to try to surround yourself with people who have complementary skills, personalities. Richard is very detail oriented. I'm not detail oriented at all. I'm much closer to you probably in this regard. That's one of the reasons why the partnership has worked well for so many years.
This is why we get along.
Yes, that's right.
It's the biggest frustration Scott and I have with each other sometimes too.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Our strength is our weakness, right? That interview
That's
question.
Right. That's right.
So we got to move to this thing's flown by. We got to move to wrapping it up, and Eldad will let you ask us the question. But again, just a big shout out to our friends at Vasco for sponsoring us. Really just helping to connect your systems, clean and enrich your data automatically, and give you an AI ready foundation, no code, no extra headcount. Check out Vasco. And we actually need to thank Eldad and Win for sponsoring the event.
The event itself, the most important
in Portugal.
Thing. Yeah,
in Portugal,
which is sold out, by the way.
Yes.
We haven't given that update. We sold it out about a month ago or so.
We did.
That's awesome.
We did.
Very excited.
So, and I'm excited for that time when Eldad will skip one of his trips to the US and come and join us at a Surf and Sales
We
event.
almost got him this year. We almost
got
him.
We did. So Eldad, what do you want to ask us?
Well, actually, it's an interesting question. So, you know, in the world of sales, we have many legends. Who is your number one legend that you would like to sit for a steak with?
Oh my gosh.
In sales?
I'm putting you on the spot.
I'd go with Benioff, because I want to ask him a bunch of early founder questions, right? Like I was thinking about this the other day. I would love to ask him about what has changed in founder-led sales since he did it, right? How much has changed, right? What advice do you give to those people compared to what you did versus now? Because I know he did a bunch of guerrilla stuff, kind of like what you're doing, right?
That's right.
But I'm curious to his understanding of the evolution of SaaS sales from the founder early stage startup to that enterprise space. Because I think he has, you know, he's really helped put it all on the map in terms of the SaaS perspective. That would be my person.
That's a very interesting question, because when you ask that question, I would not even have thought of Benioff. I don't even think of, I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong, but I don't think of him as like a sales legend.
It's a marketeer. Or a marketeer.
Or a CEO legend, marketing legend.
He started in his apartment in San Francisco.
I understand. I understand.
You know.
I'm not trying to diss him. I'm just saying I was not associating it in that particular way. I'll give you my answer, which maybe will surprise you, Richard. When I first got a sales job, I'd never read any books. I didn't know shit about sales. I've covered this ground many times before. Okay. I used to commute to this job about 35 minutes or so with two friends of mine, Javier Vellante and Henry Frazier. Richard knows both of these guys. We'd leave from Oakland, California. We'd go through the tunnel out past where Richard lives and go to Pleasant Hill. And one of them, I don't remember which one of them had a CD of Brian Tracy. And Brian Tracy is an old sales legend. And that was the first like piece of sales related content that I ever consumed. I had never had read a book. There was no podcast. There was no LinkedIn back then. There was a CD. One of us would put the CD in our car, and you know, it's only like, I'm gonna screw it up, but maybe it's like an hour long, maybe, right? We must have listened to that CD a bazillion times going back and forth, to the point where you knew what he was going to say. You had it all memorized. You know, you'd nod off in the car on the way home and wake up and you still know what he's saying. So, you know what? I would pick Brian Tracy just to tell him, thanks for making that CD. It was the first thing that I ever listened to and ever consumed. I don't even know if he's alive still, to be honest with you. If he is, I hope you're in good health and good spirits. And I just want to say thank you. So that would be my pick.
I would say that's mine, by the way.
What? I can't see it. It's upside down.
Upside down.
And blurry.
Oh my God.
A qualified sales leader, proven lessons.
The Bible by John.
Very cool. Well, what's great is that everybody has a different pick.
Yep.
Right? Just goes to prove there's no one way to do things, and you know,
this is the art.
Find the one that resonates the most with you. Yeah, very cool. Well, we appreciate you spending time with us, man. We had some fun. We had some laughs. We probably pissed a few people off, probably, but that's the way it should be. Tell everybody where to connect with you, Eldad, and they should all, of course, check out WINN.AI.com.
Yeah.
No, no
If
.com.
you're ready,
WINN.AI. Win.
yeah. .ai.
Cool.
If you're ready for a psychedelic experience, go to our website.
There you go.
And if you're ready for a cringy post on LinkedIn, you can visit me on my profile.
There you go. Hit them
Love
up,
it.
everybody, for some
There you
cringy
go.
content. We'll see you
There
next
you go.
time on the Surf and Sales podcast.
All right.